Welcome back to another off-the-shelf and a returning series for the channel. I had Nick Nack read Villains Are Destined to Die. Initially, I was just going to have you read 3 because that's all that was out. But 4 arrived the other day and we had yet to record this episode. So I went ahead, read 4 myself, and then gave it to you. So we are doing volumes 3 and 4, which is up to the current English release.
So Blondie is just Gilgamesh.
Actually, I hadn't made the comparison, but yeah, a little bit. A little bit. Murderous little psychopath. Over obsessed with his own importance. Very, very rich.
Kind of a softie when you peel between under a lot of layers.
So many layers. Like an onion.
Gets actively more attracted to the main character the less attracted they make themselves seem to him.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit, yeah. So we've obviously read the first couple volumes of this already, and now that I've checked the last page, I know where this takes me up to, so I know what I can't spoil. Because, unlike some of the other series we're reading on this channel, I am about 40 chapters ahead in keeping up with the current release. So I am very far ahead. I have also recently been spoiled as to who she ends up with. Which pissed me off a lot. I wish I had not been spoiled for that. But someone blurted novel spoilers in a fucking TikTok chat.
Wonderful.
So I do know the fucking... and I know both the endings because they often do the after story with the other endings. So I do know them all. But... I want to hear your opinion on volumes 3 and 4. Because I know volumes 1 and 2 left you in a positive mood towards the series.
Oh, this is still my favorite of the villainess things you've given me.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. No, I'm liking this. This is great. It's so refreshing that just everyone hates everyone here. Like, I mean, no, he might be getting actively more attracted to her, but he still does not like her per se. It's more that he's fascinated by the specimen that he sees.
I mean, that's about as good as most people get, though, with him. It seems like.
Yeah, that's very true. So, volume 4 left off on a huge cliffhanger. Like, this bitch is in chains going to trial.
I'm excited for that, because I like me a good trial.
Yeah. And I can confirm it is very trial. They don't pull some bullshit and not have it happen.
And this feels like it's going to be a fucking kangaroo court, and I love it.
Yeah, we love kangaroo courts. So these 2 volumes were covering the hunting party, right? Basically, I think. Yeah, hunting party, predominantly. That's the major thing that's kind of happening. So she's got her little pew pew crossbow,
which she was banned from having originally because she apparently, prior to her arrival, her name's Penelope, right?
Yep.
She apparently pointed it at another noble and threatened to shoot them.
At last year's hunting competition, and they got into big trouble over that.
Like, the more we find out about original Penelope, the more like, original Penelope was kind of based.
Original Penelope was kind of dope.
Yeah.
Also, can I say I love that her father is just like, these ones will erase people's memories. Just be smart about who you shoot them at.
I'm not telling you can't shoot people because you and I both know better than anyone else you're not going to listen. Just do it smartly, please. I rigged it so you wouldn't have too much to worry about.
Which I think is the funniest response. Like, genuinely, the amount of faith that this man has in Penelope is at a null zero sum, I swear to fucking God. Like, you know what the worst part is? Like, the father seems to be the most receptive, right, to her change. Like, he has actively been, in some scenes, more receptive to the fact that Penelope has changed significantly and is being, like, better in his opinion. And yet, he still, unprompted, is like, you can have your crossbow back, but I know you're gonna shoot someone you're not supposed to, so let me give you these special darts. Based. Absolutely fucking based. Also, I too want to be an archaeologist and studied greatly.
I read that scene and I was like, oh, look, an archaeology reference in a book Seki gave me. Who would have thunk?
Genuinely. I too piece together things that need to be carefully cleaned and restored. That was very amusing. I did take a lot of joy out of that. And I wasn't expecting it either. I was completely in the dark when that happened. I think I don't know. I think the point I'm most lukewarm about is whatever's going on with the brothers. I don't know. I think I feel like I never see enough of like the aftermath of her interactions with them. Like I feel like I see her interactions and then the scene changes.
And that's kind of by the design of it, but I think this book 3 had a really good scene with one of the brothers.
Yeah, book 3 had some really, really good stuff. Yeah. Well, because book 3 kind of covers the fact that they framed her for like the stealing of the jewelry and like what that actually meant to her. Like she talks about what Penelope the character felt emotionally.
And we do get some follow-up from that, because shortly after, I don't remember if it's book 3 or 4, you do get that. I think it's that same brother's apology. Like they apologize to each other. So they did follow up on that a little bit.
Yeah, which I appreciated. Yeah, it is the same brother. He has his little, I'm sorry that I was harsh to you or whatever. He seems to be, on the whole, the more emotionally receptive of the two, at least outwardly.
But we see all of their little heart meters ticking up. We know they're...
Yeah.
None of them downright hate her anymore.
Yeah, Callisto's up to a whole 8%.
No, he was up to like a good 20, 30 something.
I know, but there was a moment when he was like at 8% before she raised it, and
he was at 2% going into this.
I loved that. That was fucking hilarious.
The element I'm most lukewarm on right now is
the magician?
No, actually.
Oh.
It's the slave.
Yeah, that's a little...
I don't know. I'm not a fan of the isekai slave trope, which is horrible that it's an actual trope.
Yeah, it's far more common than it needs to be.
And it's still not doing anything at all for me here.
Yeah, see, because at the end of book 3, he's at 3%.
Yeah.
A whole 3%. Beloved Callisto.
I think... it's just kind of creepy that she goes out of her way to buy him for the express purpose of making that the person she ends up with, because he'll be the easiest.
Yeah, I think... I don't love where that's going at the moment. It seems a little... like, also, I don't like how she's kind of... and this is entirely something I don't like about her. She's just genuinely... she does something to make his meter go up and then proceeds to forget him until the next time that she is confronted with him, right? Also, 35%. He goes up 32% in like
that's
6
higher than some
hours.
of the brothers right now, I think.
Yeah, no, because at those last scenes, we actually see the older brother tick down from 29 to 26. Yeah. But yeah, like genuinely, because she's interacting with Callisto pretty regularly. Same thing with her brothers. The mage is on a need-to-know basis anyways, so that's never going to be a problem. But the slave boy, like, he is at her estate training, and she actively seems to only interact with him when she happens to remember that he exists.
He's the one that she treats the least human, which is a little bit more messed up with the slave angle.
Yeah, like, she basically... I mean, because back when she bought him, she acknowledged that, like, oh, he's probably not genuinely liking me, but I'll take anything at this point. You know? Even if it's, like, faked for my benefit, you know?
It's a little bit gross.
I mean, I know it would be a cop... I know it's often a cop-out in these stories for, like, someone to buy a slave, right? And then immediately set them free, and then suddenly raid the slave house and set all of them free because slavery is outlawed in the empire. But I almost kind of wish that they had done that in this, just to do away with his slave status, like, to begin with.
She tried to give him...
Tried, but I don't know. I feel like in a lot of other stories where this happens, the character pushes until they can, and she just kind of gave up when she was told she couldn't.
Yeah. And there was one moment I liked with him, and that's where she was pretty squarely loyalty zoned.
Yeah.
That was funny.
Yeah, exactly.
She's like, wait, isn't this supposed to be more of a confession? It sounds like that confession line, but instead he said loyalty.
Yeah. No, I do genuinely like that.
I would find it pretty hilarious if at the end of this all, she just ended up hitting the friendship route with that slave.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think that would be where I would be most comfortable with this ending. I don't feel, like I said, I'm way ahead of you, but I don't feel that there's any payoff to be had in the slave route. I personally think that even though they focused on it pretty heavily in book 2, I mean, we barely even deal with it in book 4 at all, because she's not at the estate.
No.
Like, they're not even there. And the brothers are always around. She can't escape them. Honestly, as I said, I'm rooting for Callisto. He feels like
He's the one I'm rooting for, is after this book, at least. After book 4. Prior to book 4, I can kind of see that's where things might lean eventually.
Yeah.
But book 4, I'm like, okay, this feels the most, actually interesting route to go down.
Also, I'm gonna be honest, I know that they're not actually her brothers, but, they're her brothers. No, thank you.
I don't want that ending, but at the same time, I'm a little bit more lenient on it than I would be other times, because not only are they not blood brothers, which they also never treated her like a sister throughout any of their lives.
Yeah.
So they know she's not their sister.
Yeah.
This relationship is developing after they'd already kind of made that
clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're not growing up together as siblings.
No. So, yeah, but I'm certainly not rooting for them.
No, I'd rather they develop a brother-sister relationship later in life than go the quasi-incest route.
Exactly. That's about where I am with them. I mean, and here's the thing. I like Callisto mostly because, I swear to fucking God, he, started almost the lowest. And in her own dialogue, you see that he's the one who killed her the most in the game when she was playing it, which I think is fucking hilarious. Because it seems like, to capture his attention, you just need to be absolutely batshit fucking insane.
I love that it's going up that she's, sniping people with the crossbow.
Yeah, and he's just like, love that. He's like, on site. And I'm like, okay, I see where you're coming from, my dude. I get it.
But also, he's not... this book starts breaking down that idea that he's fully insane here. Yeah,
he has a lot more empathetic moments in Volume 4. And maybe it's because he's been... a lot of his protections have been stripped away, and they're so secluded from other people that he feels comfortable.
We're getting more of an idea that insanity is more of a... Yeah, it's a defense mechanism. It's a barrier he's throwing up. Especially because we come to find out that, 20 nobles in his entourage, by the way, just tried to assassinate him. Yeah,
genuinely tried to fucking murk him.
And
they would have succeeded had she not been there.
This is most of his court coming after him.
Yeah. And let's not bandy words. They would have succeeded. Had she not been there, he would be dead. Point blank period. He was not getting out of that. He just wasn't. I can appreciate a good mask. That makes a lot of sense. And I mean, obviously, even back during the first time he showed up, right? He brought that assassin that his stepmother sent after him to his brother's birthday. His fucking young brother damn well knows that his mother was trying to assassinate his brother. His stepbrother is not innocent in that. His half-brother is not innocent.
He's not insane because he wants... you see a little bit more of an innocent side to him in the flashback that he gives with the bear.
Yeah.
No, he's insane because he has to be to survive.
Exactly. He has to be the strongest, the most powerful, the most fearsome.
The only way to survive for him is by being the villain people are painting him as.
Yep. Genuinely. And I think that's definitely an interesting tack to take.
He is the most fascinating character for me besides our main character.
Yeah, because the brothers, it makes sense, right? Like, the younger brother is just the younger brother. He's the foolish, more outgoing younger brother. The older brother is poised to take over the duchy. He has to consider what he does and protect the family interests. The slave is just trying to survive. Makes sense. And the Duke is also just trying to survive in a place where essentially his entire life is illegal. But he's not really... I mean, he just puts on a mask. Like a literal mask with magic. And goes out and about his business, you know? Whereas Callisto is actively having to create an entire persona for the public to see, and they have to believe that. And to be honest, he kind of has to live that persona. He can't just put it on. He has to live it for it to actually work. You know?
I will say, I'm starting to get that itch where I'm like, essentially they're going to have to introduce the real Penelope here. And how is that going to shake all of this up? Yeah,
because the real Penelope does get introduced relatively in just a month or two in the story time. So what is happening? Who's like, what is that going to do at this point? Because she, to be honest, at this point, right, even considering what's happening at the end of Volume 4, she has successfully raised all of the characters to ambivalence, basically, if not higher.
Her father, like her adopted father, actively likes her now.
Yeah, actively likes her. Her younger brother, or the younger of her brothers, is far more tolerant of her. Even the older one is more willing to at least consider that she is not the worst.
Except they're all at like above 20% now. It seems to be the point where they're...
Yeah.
We seem to be at that point, out of the point where it's like active disdain, and more to the point of the fact of life is their family.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or the fact of life is that they...
I think generally the cutoff between hatred and neutrality or something is like 30% in these kind of games.
It doesn't feel that way with how
it
things have been written.
Yeah.
It feels like the cutoff here is like somewhere in 5 to 10%. Like no, these characters actively hate you.
I would wonder though if maybe that's because this is the expert mode, because remember some of them started off negative.
Oh yeah, none of them are about to go to bed with her or anything like that.
Yeah.
Well, maybe the slave.
Even him. Because even him, he's only up to like what, the 50s or 60s? Yeah.
It feels like on all the characters we're more or less in the now interested zone into the hike for romance.
Because I think she's stated before, and I could be wrong, but I think you have to be like 70 to 80% minimum for like affection and stuff. So like we're getting there, which is why I'm interested in seeing Penelope introduced now, because the last time, obviously, when the real Penelope is introduced, well, I don't even think it's Penelope, it's a different name. But the real daughter comes back in, she's hated in the original story, Penelope is. But we've hit a point where she's not so much hated.
I don't get the idea she'd be immediately kicked out for the... Or maybe kicked out, possibly, but not immediately, like, treated as a problem.
And it's not as if she's pretending to be the family's daughter without them knowing. Like, they brought her in deliberately knowing that she wasn't their daughter. So,
and the oldest brother, who was the most against her, even at the end of the book here, is much higher than he was. Where now it seems like he at least understands her circumstances and no longer has a "you are the most vile thing to ever enter this house."
Exactly. Like, you are not the downfall of our house. And
there was a tick down. I think it was the oldest brother. There was that tick down at the end. But that tick down wasn't that dramatic. I have a feeling it's more like this seems in character for you. But he doesn't seem to hate her.
Yeah. I mean, what we see is 3%. I can't remember the exact specifics if we see it go down more later. But it does certainly go down 3% while she's sitting in jail. For confronting him.
It just seems like a worry that she might still be as bad as he thought she was.
Yeah. Like, she's reverted to an old habit.
Or maybe I was wrong to start. It seems more like a doubt than a...
Yeah, than a genuine flip of his opinion. I will say, I do think, while she started very low, it seems to thus far be rare for her to outright lose significant amounts of affection, because it seems like she's basically building on her reputation, and so long as she doesn't just immediately go back to doing something awful, prolonged time will keep the affection score there, if not have it rise just a little bit. Which is good for her, because
she's out of the one wrong decision gets me killed.
Yeah,
stage.
I mean, to be fair, Callisto almost killed her.
Yeah. And I don't think she's going to stumble back into it, but something like this trial might be dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm super excited for you to see the
trial.
trial.
I am so excited for this damn trial. This feels like it's going to be dramatic.
I feel like I need to check like when the next book comes out, because honestly, at this point, it might be worth it to just have you read some of the online shit, especially for the next section, because I don't know when the next volume comes out, but it's probably going to be at least like 2 to 3 months, if not a little bit more.
Well, I'm sure. Well, hey, we're getting really far ahead on these off-the-shelf recordings.
I know.
And there's still stuff in between that I was supposed to provide in there. I think 1 or 2 things.
That's true. That's very true. We have done a bunch of my shit in a row.
So we are far enough ahead to where I'm not worried about those 1 to 2 months yet.
Yeah. We can probably just wait for the volumes to come out.
What is that in like a cycle? There's that 2 off-the-shelves per cycle? That's like 2 or 3 cycles right there.
I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And I got a 6.
Yeah.
At my place still.
Yeah.
We got 3 full cycles going on right now.
We're fine. It's only 1 per cycle.
Is it only 1 per cycle?
Only 1 of these comes out per cycle.
Oh, well.
So it's 6 full cycles. 12 weeks. 3 months.
Look at that.
3 months worth of shit we have.
That's assuming we're not doing any of mine in the middle.
Yeah, no, and I think we are. But yeah, so I'm very excited. I'm really enjoying Villains Are Destined to Die. It is, like I said, it's one of the few I am actively keeping up with, like to the current chapters coming out in translation. And there's only a few series I'm doing that for. A lot of series I just kind of tend to re-binge them when a significant amount of chapters are out. I'll just start from wherever I remember finishing or from the beginning and re-binge them again. But I'm not having that problem here. I'm liking it. And can I say, I adore the art style.
Oh, it's a great art style.
Like, it is beautiful. Like, I like Soul Leveling also has an amazing art style. So does Abandoned Empress. But, like, I really love the Villains Are Destined to Die art. Like, it is very pretty to look at. Like, I think it's just stunning.
Is that another one on your shelf there?
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's your next one.
Motherfucker!
I only have one of these. If it makes you feel better, this is very well regarded by the community.
These things are
Multiplying?
Yes.
Here you go.
Why didn't you give me this one before?
Because it's thicker than the rest, and I didn't want to, because it is significantly larger than the rest of these.
I'm not even done with the stack yet.
You only have the 2 more. With that being said, like, comment, subscribe. You'll see what he's talking about in probably a couple of weeks.
How do you find so many of these?